to episode 105 of Checkpoint Chat.
105.
105. Do you know why I don't know the number? Because I haven't saved the episode.
You haven't saved the episode.
Living dangerously.
Do you want to save the episode?
No, it's okay. It should be good.
Are we good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. My name's Alessandro Barbosa, joined as always by Matty Figueroa.
That's me.
Is it you? Are you sure it's you?
It's me. Is it me? You could be talking to an AR. I mean, this is how technology's gone. I could be a deep fake.
A deep fake?
I could just be the chair with my face photoshopped on it.
Or Lupin.
You don't. It could be Lupin.
That'd be a very impressive deep fake.
If I start licking my hand at any point, you know that there's something up here.
Well, you are like sort of turning into like a furry creature. Your hair and your beard. That is a strong beard. I've not seen a beard like that on you in person ever.
I was like, whatever. I'm done shaving. I'm going to warm my little face.
I think the only time I've seen you with a beard like that is in some like old Facebook photos of you.
I don't ever do like the big beard.
Let me tell you, those old Facebook photos do not suit. Your beard there does not suit.
No, it's like just messy.
But is it like, do you not grow a mustache at all? That's so weird.
The best moustache I can grow is a little pedo moustache.
See, I grow a moustache like almost instantly, but like how you have such thick hair, like mine never gets to that point. It will get to a certain length and then just stop, and it just looks stupid. Yeah.
Nope, I don't have that problem.
So we both skipped out on the poorer gene there in a way.
Yeah, it's actually, remember, I mean, I don't know if it's all the rage anymore, but remember Movember? Remember people doing that? Nope, I could never do that.
Oh, because you just don't grow a moustache.
I just do not grow a moustache. Yeah, it's actually laughable.
Yeah, because like the rest of your beard is super strong there. It's like thick. And what does Lenska think of it?
She doesn't mind it.
Really?
We actually just had. I was joking the other like, I think I'm just gonna grow a beard. So you can see what it's like. She's like, okay. 2 weeks later, here we are. There's a rug on my face.
I tried the because everyone was like, no, you have to give yourself 6 weeks to really like try the beard thing. So I did that. After 6 weeks, it looked stupid, and Shani was just like, please shave this off. She's like, this is horrible.
You're embarrassing me in public.
It's not even that. She's just like, it's so abrasive, like on your face. It just feels.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like a polite way of being like, nah, fam.
Yeah, I'm not going to kiss you. This feels horrible.
I want to be seen in public with you. Walk at least. Let's social distance.
Basically, exactly that.
Like,
yeah.
But COVID hasn't happened yet. She's like, I don't care. Good Lord. So social distancing. What a time to be alive.
I know.
Give us a time frame. When are we going back to normal life?
Oh, I don't know. At this point, it's just so weird. I just don't understand some of the rules being like put out there now. Like, yeah, we've got rules now so that you can go to a restaurant and sit down, and cinemas will open and this and that. But God forbid you visit a friend. I'm just people are gonna. People have been doing that anyway. Yeah, I guess they're just like, whatever, fuck it.
And I mean, I don't know how you police that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you have a police? You kick down the door, police storm in, they're like, hey, you said you could bra. Like, what's going on here?
Especially now when you can just be like, oh, I was going to the mall or going to whatever.
Yeah,
you have so many excuses. Yeah. But I 100% will not be going to a theater or a restaurant. Not a fucking chance.
I was just going to say, as someone who loves the theater, are you going to go back?
No. I saw someone on Twitter who made a very good point. It's like, there is no movie on earth that is worth risking getting sick. And I'm just like, yeah, that's 100% correct.
True. What movies are going on at the cinema now? Like, I'm sure there are, but
so many of them are being delayed anyway because they can't be released in the States. So it's funny though, because they keep getting delayed by like 2 weeks. I'm like, guys, this isn't going to disappear.
Just suck it up and push it back a couple of months.
They're like, yeah, okay, July's bad, but August, that's when COVID would disappear.
August is the one. Okay, August was a real mess, but September the 1st, you can watch Christian Bale's new masterpiece.
Especially in the States where like certain cities are getting like massive spikes of infection. It's like, guys, It's not changing.
South Africa's not doing much better in that regard. We
Yeah,
are
lately, not too much better.
Thousands of cases every day now, which honestly was to be expected, but it's kind of terrifying to see. And I think my thing is so since the very beginning, even before like the actual lockdown, we actually knew someone who I lied. In the first week or two of lockdown, we knew 2 people who had it. So it's very much like, oh shit, this is serious, you know? And the thing is, their doctors told them they had mild cases and they like had a terrible time. And the reality is some people will have like no symptoms, some are asymptomatic, whatever. But we've known from the beginning, like shit, you know, this is quite a real thing. And some people have just sort of not given a shit, and some people continue to not give a shit. But the more it spreads, I think the more people are going to realize, like, oh,
this is a problem. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want that to happen, but shit, man. Like, I don't know. We in any time I run or like venture out in my car to go to wherever, you see people just not wearing masks. I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's really okay.
I'm still wearing masks. Still like doing the whole disinfectant thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know why people think this thing just like disappeared or got beaten. It's like we're not there yet, guys.
My biggest frustration is like I don't like running with a buff. I can't breathe. I'm like nobody
enjoys it at all.
I don't like wearing a mask. I'm like, well, find me one person who does love wearing a mask.
Even
I
if
don't think anyone wakes up and says, yeah, I can't wait to like not breathe properly.
Even if it's just like putting up a mask when you run past people and then putting it down, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's what I've been doing. It's like when I first started, I was adamant, like, no, this isn't coming off whatever, but it's difficult. And I've realized, you know what, it's actually, if there's no one around, like I'm being silly, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to give it to anyone else or anything. But the moments I see anyone even in the horizon or whatever, I'm like, it's just a polite thing as well.
Of course,
you know?
yeah, of course, because they could be, you know, concerned about their health. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's COVID. COVID's bad, yeah.
Ain't going away anytime soon, but it's fine. We get to stay at home and play video games, which is always nice.
I was going to say, you know, it's not bad, video games.
Video games.
We talk about them sometimes here.
We talk about them sometimes.
I'm a segue king.
Yeah, geez, like that is... Well, I thought we were going to segue like, pandemics, humanity being wiped out, The Last of Us. You know,
I should have done that.
The more subtle, not gloom and doom segue.
Well, now I've basically done like, oh, COVID's bad. Oh, you know what's good? Video games. Oh, you know what's also bad? Damn, the depressing story of The Last of Us. Actually, it's a very good story. I don't want to mince that. It's just like it's depressing.
You know what's good? The Last of Us 2. You know what's bad? How it makes you feel.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not bad because it's good, but it's good because it makes you feel bad. Like, how do you explain this?
So just firstly, as a heads up, we are going to be discussing spoilers. So
it's no bars hold here. I've finished the game finally, and we have so much to talk about the game itself. And if you're gonna play The Last of Us 2 and you don't want to don't have anything spoiled, like, look away now. I think we'll put a little timestamp or something in the notes. You can come back when we're done. But yeah, go finish the game. It took me, so before we get into the spoiler bit, it took me 30 hours on hard.
Okay.
How long did it take you to finish it?
I haven't gone back to look at the save file after you told me.
Yeah, have a look. Yeah, it tells you.
But I think it was around about there. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we'll put a time code in there. So like if you're still planning to play this, I highly recommend not listening. But if you do not care and just want to know about the story, or if you've played as well, since it's been out for a week now, we're going to be discussing it in detail.
Great length.
Firstly, you finished it. I want to know, now that you've finished it, what your overall opinion of the entire game is.
The game. So, well, I've been talking to colleagues, I've been talking to you and colleagues, and I've spoken to Lenska about it, and I've said, I mean, because going into this game, we all know what happened 2 months ago. There was a leak, plot details were leaked, and I've gone back and read them now, and I was like, yeah, holy shit, like those are some big plot points.
They leaked everything, but like the broad strokes of everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So like you get some milestone moments, if I can call it that, and it just angered a lot of people, which is quite an interesting thing, because when you play the game, you obviously get the context and the nuance. And so that aside, but what I'm getting is that you can hate the story. Like, that's fun. I don't think there's anything wrong. You can either love or hate it, because, stories are subjective. But I don't think you can flaw this game on its level of detail, its execution, the gameplay, and the visuals. Like, it's unreal that this is a game on the PS4, and it's the same with what the Last of Us did for the PS3. It's like you've said, it's a swan song of the console, where you're like, oh, the console's done, and Naughty Dog and Sony like, no, like here's one more thing, and it's
just
like
to remind you what's possible on here.
Yeah, and I think by that point they know the console inside out and what it can and can't do, and the sorcery they pull off with it, like.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I mentioned last week, there are things that happen. I'm like, this is like unreal. Yeah. That this is possible on the PS4, and you've pointed out like it's just very, very clever sorcery, or some clever, like could I call it illusion, or just clever use of resources. So I think on that front, like you actually cannot flaw The Last of Us. I don't think you can, because it's like, I think you're wrong. I honestly think you're wrong.
I think, I mean, I've seen very few people, but I think if you come into this and being like, and are like, I don't think it looks good, or it got downgraded from the trailers, or whatever, like, irrespective, there is just no other game on any console that even comes close to this.
I mean, even in terms of scope, what I mentioned last week already, how the game's 30 hours in my playthrough, and if you play an open world game, like how they stretch those hours out, they reuse assets, and it's an open world. You sort of retread. You go to a hub, you pick up a quest, you run off, you come back to the hub, and they reuse a lot of the areas.
Yeah. In
this 30-hour game, like, there are very few areas that resurface. Everything's usually just brand new, and when you walk through a store, it's like its own store that's been branded a certain way. It's got very specific items, and it's unreal, the level of like work that's gone into this. Like, I don't know when they officially started development, but you can see it's like a good few years of hard crafting.
Yeah, I think development on this really ramped up near the end of Uncharted 4, as far as I know. Because as far as I know, Lost Legacy was not a separate team, but it was like some of the team working on Last of Us 2, some of them putting out, Lost Legacy. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think the level of detail that is on offer here is just unbelievable. Just all the little office spaces, all the derelict little stores you go into, they all have an identity that you can kind of remember. It's not just like, oh, this was Bland Grocery Store 1 and Bland Grocery Store 2. It's like they had actual, like, the coffee shops had a brand identity that could be like something you'd see today. Or I know we mentioned last week, but that the office space that was that like bike store, like had its own like logo and color scheme, and like it's just small things like that.
And you think like it's a bit unnecessary, but there's a reason all that hard work leaves such an impression. It just ramps up that immersion, and that like I don't walk into store go like, oh, I've seen this before. I don't walk into space go, oh, they've just copy pasted the assets and like changed the angle or whatever.
Change the layout a little bit.
You feel like you're walking through this real city that's been completely ravaged by this outbreak, and you're encountering people in these buildings that are real. And I mean, and so most of the game takes place in Seattle, and I've never been to Seattle, but shit, I've seen comparisons, and the recreation and the scale of this city is like, it's unreal. It's what a place.
It was actually that photo you used for the podcast header last week that had the like shots of Seattle with the Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh damn. Okay.
I was like, oh, that's actually real.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Because I have no real point of reference when it comes to what Seattle looks like. So yeah, that was interesting. I also think it's really cool that you essentially play through the same 3 days twice from different perspectives, but you don't run through the same areas. There's no. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the big thing in this game that I was waiting for you to get to, because I feel like they almost do a Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of shift here.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you get to about halfway, so day 3 in Seattle with Ellie, and it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger with like this confrontation between her and your
Abby.
I don't want to say antagonist, because I don't think Abby's an antagonist. But basically new character Abby, who at the beginning of the game kills Joel. And then you switch to her perspective for the rest of the game. Well, mostly the rest of the game, yeah. And you basically get, time rewinds, and you go back to Seattle day 1, and you get to play this like parallel story. You get to see the human side of the Wolves, who are like this military group that Ellie's just been like completely ravaging through, like indiscriminately killing. You get to see like, oh, they are pretty much the same as the settlement Ellie comes from. They are there to help people. They have this community. You get to see all of the motives behind Abby's actions and all of her friends' actions. Primarily that it's a consequence of the first game, why this game even exists, really.
Yeah. But I mean, just on that front, so I don't know how. I'm very fortunate that I didn't have that spoiled. So when it did switch, it was like Abby confronts Ellie, and then it cuts, and it's like Seattle day 1. I'm like, oh my God, am I really going to play like everything but from Abby's perspective?
See, I thought it'd be brief flashbacks. So I was like waiting for the moment where it just like super cut to like, okay, cool, you've seen what Abby's doing, you're back to playing Ellie. And then when I realized, this is like hours and hours of playing as Abby, I'm like, this is an interesting direction.
When they said Seattle day 1, I was like, oh, they're establishing like this is the time it's happening, and I think you're going to play through the whole thing. And holy shit, it's a journey as well. Yeah. And it's an interesting choice, and I think it's pissed off a lot of people as well, because
it has, yeah.
I don't know, like
it seems to be the main sticking point. People are like, why do I want to play as Abby? I want to play as the hero Ellie. And I'm like, if you think Ellie is the hero, you are completely missing the point. You
misunderstand. Yeah, you're completely missing the whole point of the game, because I think the point is to show you, I mean, like Neil Druckmann and them have said that the central premise of the game, the central theme is like revenge, and how the cycle repeats itself. And then like in pursuing the cycle, you'll lose everything. I mean, if you missed that, then I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean, the first half of the game is basically Ellie. She's seen this terrible thing happen to Joel. And there was a great article I read yesterday by GameSpot's Phil Hornshaw where he disagrees with the structure of this kind of twist, but I think it works. But basically, at the beginning of the game, you see Joel die, and you think that part of Ellie's quest is figuring out why he died, like why these people ambushed him and why they killed him. But you realize very close to where the game swaps over that Ellie knew the entire time. She's aware that at the end of the first game, Joel killed all the Fireflies. She comes to that realization, and part of the reason her relationship with Joel fractured was because she couldn't understand, or she couldn't reconcile like his decision to do that. And she fully understands that the people that killed him are Fireflies. So it makes her revenge quest seem a lot more selfish, because she's literally killing all of these people. She's going through camps and camps of these wolves, killing everyone, looking at their faces going, don't recognize them, but she doesn't really care. Even though she knows that the reason Joel was killed was in itself an act of revenge for what he did.
Yeah.
So it's like, Ellie's not a good person in this game.
No, not at all.
She's not infallible at all. So to think that, I don't want to play as bad guy Abby, it's like, if you don't see the parallels between them, like, you're missing the point entirely.
Yeah. I mean, and I watched a YouTube video yesterday, it was a YouTube video where there's actually a lot of parallels between Abby and Ellie that maybe I didn't really pick up on until after, where they show their settings. Like, you start the game out as Ellie, you're in Jackson, you walk through the town a bit, you see how life is there. and then you switch over to Abby, and she's in the stadium, and also they've just a survivors camp, just living their best life, trying to survive, and they've. Like the way it was, I think it was that article actually that you sent me, that interview. It's like in another world, like Abby and Ellie would have just been friends.
Yes, yeah.
Like that they sort of living in the same circumstances, have some overlap in terms of different different.
They probably would have been
yeah.
friends if they were in the
Yeah.
same camp and everything like that. Yeah.
Well, then having played the story, you have to realize that. Okay, Ellie, at the end, Ellie doesn't kill Abby. So I think she does reconcile, like makes peace with, okay, like I'm going to let it go. But I'm like, at the end of the day, Abby's the one who got screwed over the most.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she lost her father. Like, Joel straight up killed her father, and then Ellie killed her closest friends.
Yeah, all her friends.
Well, Ellie and Tommy. I'm like, she just lost everyone.
Yeah.
And like... Yeah, at the end, Ellie also has nothing, but holy shit.
Exactly.
It's quite something.
I think that's the central point of it, is like, irrespective of whether you get the revenge you're seeking or not, the journey that it requires just means that you have to lose everything around you. I mean, Abby, as a consequence of taking revenge on Joel, sets Ellie off and loses all of her friends in the process, even if she spares Ellie twice. I mean, you can see she kills Joel, but like Joel killed her father, and she has a perfect opportunity to kill Ellie and Tommy, and her companions want to, and she stops them. She says no, they weren't involved.
They're not a part of this. Yeah.
So you can see she's got some like empathy with what's going on, but she couldn't get past what Joel did, and then later in the game she lets Ellie go again. Ellie's just killed all of her friends, butchered so many wolves.
Yeah.
And she I mean, Lev, I think Lev is a really good character. Lev's a companion to Abby. And he, to me, is the person who gets Abby to realize you can't just continue like doing this. And that's why she lets Ellie go. And in that process, it's like, you can almost see at that point, you're like, cool. They, Ellie starts a life with Dina at the farm, and you're like, they can just live here and just let it go. But Ellie can't let it go. And in not being able to let it go, she hunts down Abby again, but she loses everything else in the process. Even if at the end she kind of like reconciles and lets Abby go, but she loses everything.
She lost everything, yeah.
Even 2 fingers.
Yeah, shit.
She gets gollumed.
That game. So with that scene where Abby lets Ellie go on the farm, the whole time I'm like,
the game's going to end here.
That's so weird. Like, people have been bitching about the ending. We're actually going to get somewhat of a happy ending. Like, Ellie gets to live with Dina and the baby. Abby goes off. Like, Abby lost everyone, but she gets to live her life, and she's got Lev. Like,
I was waiting for that moment where you're on the tractor with the baby. Yeah, and I was just waiting for credits. Yeah, I was like, okay, cool, this is the end, and it just didn't.
But it's amazing how it just brought you back to reality, where with such a simple thing of Ellie, like that, the sense of dread I had in that barn.
Oh yes, she has her PTSD episode.
Yeah, where the little baby, or I suppose a kid. It is a kid, right? A baby sheep.
No, kid is a baby goat.
Oh, a baby goat.
A lamb.
A lamb, sorry. Yeah, a lamb's just chilling at the back. And I was like, oh no, like something's not right here. And then like a rake or something drops and it makes a thud, and she's just got that PTSD of Joel, and it's like, oh no. Like she's still got problems. Like obviously you're going to have problems.
She's not over it, yeah.
Holy hell. And then the game continues for like another 2-3 hours. I was like, wow, I did not expect that.
I do think it didn't need another 3 hours.
Yeah, so like I think it's a tricky thing, because I've thought about it and I've come to the conclusion, like, yeah, the ending was a bit, I mean, that last 2-3 hours was maybe unnecessary, but it was almost necessary because it needs to give you just a little bit of extra weight to like the actual ending. Because I don't know if I would have felt the same if I just landed up with a cutscene, like, oh, okay, Ellie's still seeking revenge. Oh, okay.
I agree.
Abby's been captured by these rattlers. Okay, now Ellie's found her. Like, there's still that mini journey of Ellie actually. It's weird. Like, Ellie ended up saving Abby from the rattlers, only to want to kill her again, only to want to like
let her go again.
So it's like,
I
oh
just,
my god.
I just
This
thought
game.
I like the little interlude where Abby and Lev have been hunting down the remnants of the Fireflies, and they actually
Yeah.
find like an old base in Santa Barbara to do with the Fireflies. But I don't know. I just thought the introduction of the Rattlers and then like
It
you
was
killing this now like third faction of people, I was just like,
yeah. It was in that regard it was a bit weird because I honestly thought it would be a thing of okay, Abby and Lev have found the Fireflies thing, and now Ellie's gonna catch up with them, and then
yeah.
that's that. To introduce the Rattlers, and I was telling Lenska like every faction you encounter in the game, like they come across as bad.
Yeah.
Like the wolves, when you encounter them as Ellie, like no, these dudes are assholes. Like they, like whatever. And then even like, I'm still in two minds about the Scars / Sheriff outs.
Yeah, I wish they'd expanded a bit more on the Seraphites.
I feel like there's a little bit missing there.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'll get back to that now. But then the Rattlers just, to me, seem straight up like dicks.
The Rattlers seem like moustache twirling villains from The Walking Dead
villains,
or something.
Which that's exactly the fact that they keep infected on chains. I'm like, that's such a like Negan thing, and it just seems a bit misplaced in a world where I mean, not misplaced, but it seems a bit for Naughty Dog, who have been very good at coloring in the grey areas here.
Yeah, I just felt like they were. I mean, I'm not going to say they were thrown in at the last minute because I don't know, but the way they came across was we need to have some sort of conflict between Ellie and Abby, finding each other again, or some sort of context as to why Abby is like extremely weak when Ellie finds her again. So we just have to make up this faction that it almost would have been. I mean, I'm not saying that this would have worked better, but I think if maybe some like rogue faction of the wolves caught up with Abby, that would have been a bit more fitting.
Way more sense. Yeah.
Because I mean, Abby like ends up betraying the wolves to save Lev. So like, and the context of them hunting her down, if they wanted to, would have made a bit more sense.
That actually would have made a lot more sense. I mean, I don't know how they would have found.
You see, so it's like it's almost like a fan fiction want like. Just to remove the Rattlers, but like that would have been, I think, a bit more impactful than just this new faction that.
Yeah. But I mean, even so, I was talking about the Seraphites. So that interview that you sent to me yesterday, actually, Neil Druckmann mentions that at one point in development, they would have Ellie visit the island. Like, I don't know how they would have wrangled that, because that to me also seems like a stretch. But
yeah, I want to know why she would have gone there.
Yeah, but it feels like, obviously, while she's there, it would have colored in more backstory of them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel with the wolves, you get some context. Like, they're at this war with this other clan, and Isaac is this very hardened dude leading them.
Yes, yeah.
You don't ever meet the leader of
the Seraphites,
You hear about this like prophet, this lady who's been leading them, and I think
she's died.
She's died. Yeah. I don't know what the circumstances are, but I almost would have liked just maybe another, I don't know, 10 to 30 minutes on the island where you find maybe more notes and backstory where it's like, we do this because X, Y, Z.
Yes.
Where it very much, all I'm left with is like, okay, this lady started a religious cult which has a lot of parallels with current religions. And as a result, like, these people are fanatical, like maniacs, although that's not true for most of them. We've got characters like Lev and Yara, which show like, they are just people as well, living in their circumstances, dealing with it in their certain way. But I feel like it would have been nice to have just a little bit more insight into that group. But I mean, that's just nitpicking. Like,
I tend to agree. It's like the feeling, well, what I gather from the Seraphites is like they are a group of people who have been brought up with this idea of the old world is bad and we are going to go back to
our roots.
Our roots, even though they use guns and stuff. So Lev and, is it Yara? I think it's Yara.
Yara, yeah.
And they are two children from the Seraphite camp who kind of like run away. Lev, if you don't know, is the game's trans character that everyone sort of thought it was Abby, just because Abby had muscles. Apparently, women can only have muscles if they're trans, according to some people on the internet, which blows my mind. But anyway.
Yeah, I was telling you. I don't think I mentioned this last week, but like Abby is built. Like
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. She's very built.
And
but
you can see she
that-
got built after the events
she
of the first
they,
game. Yeah.
they make a very clear point of like when her father's alive, she's just living her best life and she's just
Yeah.
ordinary Abby. But it's sort of implied as you get to know her backstory and just her in general that I don't know what led her to like pumping iron, whatever. I mean, I presume it's the fact that she wants to get strong enough to like avenge her father.
Yeah, or just a coping mechanism for
or
the
just
pain.
or just a coping mechanism. But I mean, there are points. Even there's one flashback with Owen where she like boosts up to a ramp and she pulls him up. He's like, "Damn, like you
Yeah,
got
you're getting
strong,
stronger. Yeah.
and she's like, "I'm pumping whatever, like 185." But then when you start out with her day one Seattle, like modern day, the first thing you see when you walk out her room is this gym where people are pumping out. I'm like, oh, she's clearly been lifting weights. Like, I don't know why it has to be a weird.
Exactly.
Like, no, like you can't have big arms.
And it's been like 4 years. I think it's like 4 or 5 years. The gap between, her father being murdered and her now. So it's like completely logical that she could have gotten that big that in that space of time.
Yeah, but then we get to.
So yeah, then
No,
we get to Lev and Yara. So they are basically running away from the Seraphites because Lev. You find out through conversations with Lev in probably I think my favorite chapter of the game is Seattle Day 2 with Abby, where it's just her
Abby
and Lev.
It's real good.
Going to the hospital. It's really good. You find out that Lev had to run away because he shaved his head because he had basically been promised to be married to someone in the Seraphite camp, and he not only didn't identify or didn't feel as though he was a woman, but he wanted to be a
soldier.
A soldier. So he shaved his head, and the Seraphites found this as a huge breach of their ways, and essentially wanted to kill him. So him and his sister Yara flee, and they basically like. They help Abby, and so she feels indebted to them, and she ends up learning a lot about the Seraphites from Lev in a very cool way. I think what is cool about Lev and Yara is that they show the epitome of like having faith, but understanding how your faith is being twisted. Like Lev is literally being hunted by the people that brought him up, and the people who believe in what he believes, yet you see him praying at these shrines for the Seraphites constantly. And Abby questions him, like, how can you still believe in their teachings when they're hunting you? And he says, well, they're not hunting me because of the teachings. They have twisted what our writings are. And I still believe in the core messaging of the writings. And it's like, that makes sense,
But I mean, so just on Lev, I mean, he's part of the reason there's such an uproar from people saying like, oh, they've injected SJW politics into our games and it's nonsense. I'm like, it's not a thing of like Lev is a trans character and that's that. It's used as a means to tell the story, and I think it's a very clever rationale. Like, actually, Lev is like identified as a male and has shaved his head, and now that's why they're hunting him. I'm like, that's a pretty believable thing. Like, it could happen.
Yeah,
I think it's in today. Like, even today, if you come out as trans in a highly religious society, you are going to be
ostracized.
And like ostracized. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. It's so weird where the outcry is. I'm like, I don't know. I think you just have something against people. If you're going to react like that.
There's a really good article I read by a journalist at Trusted Reviews.
Yeah.
Her name's Jade. She's trans as well. I met her at E3 last year for the first time. And she wrote a really good piece about just how The Last of Us addresses queer identities and trans characters. And I think there's a point in there that I didn't pick up on that was really fascinating to me, is that the world has been, in The Last of Us, has been through this apocalypse for so long that the only people that still see these like queer relationships and identities as problematic are older people in the societies. Like you see Ellie and Dina engage in this relationship and they see absolutely nothing wrong with it. And it's an old man at the party who finds an issue with it and insults them. And there's a bookstore in the I think in the first day of Seattle, which is adorned with like pride flags and stuff like that. And Ellie and Dina have no idea what those flags mean.
But it is, yeah.
They don't understand that there like was the struggle and this identity of, LGB or TQ. I always get the acronym wrong. I apologize. And it's just funny that like the younger people in this apocalypse don't see the issues around there because they've been brought up in a culture where there are so many other things to worry about aside from someone's identity.
Yeah.
So it's just fascinating that like Abby has absolutely no issue with Lev, but Lev is being hunted by much older members of the tribe because they see it as a problem. And it's just, it's a fascinating observation.
Yeah, consider that. Yeah. I don't know. Overall, game good.
Game is really good. I mean, we've spoken about the story, but like the gameplay is just phenomenal as well. Yeah. I find. I still think that stealth system is super good. Like I fucking love it.
The stealth is great, and just the combat. Like having finished the game now, there were so many encounters that stand out for me where like my palms are actually sweating, and I was like, I mean, you know me, I'm super chill. And I was like, holy hell, like that was intense. And it was often those, like against, what are those things called? Is it stalkers? The infected who are sort of like halfway to becoming clickers?
Yes.
Where they're super quiet, you can't see
them.
And they flank you and they scare the shit out of you because you don't expect them.
And they also cause noise, so they just attract clickers. It's like, which assholes.
Is such a pain. But this game, one thing I think it emphasized... well, maybe not emphasize. One thing that it stood out to me was how dark it was. Like not in terms of just theme. The actual areas, there are so many times where you're in pitch black and you just have your flashlights, and just the sense of dread you get, it's unreal. Like there are times when you're walking through a completely darkened room and you're like, oh my god, like what's going to happen? And nothing happens. You're just walking through, I don't know, like an abandoned warehouse, whatever. But shit, just the sense of dread I had throughout the game. It was a weird thing of like I did not expect that many jumps or those many surprises where I was like, holy shit, like what is this game doing to my heart?
It really feels survival horror at times.
It really, in a good way. It is a thing of like I've said before where, and I think in the first Last of Us you've got limited ammo. You can't just run in guns blazing, or you can, but you're going to not have any ammo left for the next encounter. So you really have to play smart, and every little micro decision you make counts. I mean, so some of the best moments of the game are those where, like I said to you last week, you kind of have to just run with your decisions. It doesn't help to just keep reloading.
Yeah.
And you get these moments where, like it's water cooler moments where if I were going to the office, I'd be like, well, you won't believe what happened in The Last of Us.
Yeah, it's like you're scripting your own cutscene. It's really incredible.
And it looks like a cutscene.
Yeah.
I mean,
the sense of flow to everything is just so good.
Like one of my favorite moments in combat was actually as Abby when I just met Lev and Yara, and she thinks they've left her because she gets locked inside that one room.
Oh yes, and you're waiting for them to open the door.
You basically have to hold out. Yeah, it was intense. Where I died a couple of times there because shit, there's a lot going on. But there's one moment where I'm being attacked in a room where there was like
so many clickers
and 2 infected, and I eventually jump through a window and I in my panic I turn around and I throw a pipe bomb and I killed everything. I was like, damn, okay, that's not what I meant to do, but shit, it worked out.
It worked out exactly as you wanted.
There's so many moments like that.
There's so many moments like just like being stealthy through a section and then all of a sudden being spotted and having to quickly transition to like, okay, now I'm like shooting someone, running into a building, hitting someone with a melee weapon that I have, trying to, break line of sight again. It feels so good.
Look, I think, the AI is very smart.
Oh my God, yeah.
But as with every game, there are limitations to AI. Like I do think peripheral vision's a thing that some games just completely overlook.
I think it's an affordance because it's like otherwise it's just
it'd be very difficult.
too punishing. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is that you forget, like in real life, if something like this were to happen, like if say you get spotted, you could run away and people won't just know where you are.
Oh yeah.
In other games, it's a thing of like, oh shit, I've been spotted, I better run and hide away, and the AI sort of just know where you are by default. Like, no, they're over there. In this game, I do think when I decide to run through cover, turn left, turn right, I have literally lost myself, and people don't know where I've gone. I think that's also very clever.
But they're also like, because they know you there, they are much more heightened. They're alert. It's not like older stealth games where you like get spotted, you hide, and it's like, you must be gone, and they just like return to their normal routine. It's like I found what they start doing is they start grouping up. They start as soon as they know you there, they always walk in like twos or threes. So it's like really hard to pick them off individually once you've been spotted the first time. They won't react as blindly to like distractions. They'll know that it's you trying to distract them. So it's really good. I think the combat is really, really fun and really just solid. The melee system is super good to me.
That's good.
Almost, like I keep saying this, but it almost looks like a cutscene. The way you are, the way it blends your dodges and your strikes is just it feels so good.
How were those Bloodborne skills coming in handy?
Oh man, yeah. The melee is so much better than the first game. Like it's just, and the crunch you get when you hit someone with like a proper big like melee weapon is just, it's kind of brutal and disgusting.
But
Jesus.
It's weirdly satisfying as well. Like I think some of my favorite moments were, like we've said, combat, your resources are very limited, so you have to be very careful with what you do. So you might use your pistol to get a headshot in one person. You might then pull out your rifle to scope in and shoot someone in the distance. But then like you might pull out a brick, run at someone, throw it at them to like stagger them, and I love that. Them. And it's like this big finisher, but you get such a satisfying
it was in the first game as well, and I think they just refined that feeling.
But even like there are times when I know I've shot a person, like they're injured, but I don't want to like waste the ammo. They're hiding around a corner, like sprint around the corner and just whack them. Like damn, that felt real good.
Up until the end of the game, I was still being tripped up by, if you run directly at someone, they will kill you.
They'll kill you. Yeah,
and I'm like, of course they will. I'm running straight at them. The target they're shooting at is getting bigger. Of course they're going to be more accurate. But games have just taught me that
you can just rush people.
I can just rush people. They don't really take that into account. And The Last of Us is like,
No.
And also when you get shot, it completely kills your momentum. It's not like Ellie just brushes it off. So it's like, you get shot, you fall to the ground, you're fucked. Like, game over.
Yeah. It's done now. At that point, I just reload the checkpoint.
I do want to play the New Game Plus because apparently, so it makes each difficulty level a bit more challenging. So like, normal plus is like in between normal and hard plus is in between hard and super hard. I don't know what the other one is.
Whatever it's called.
But apparently, part of what makes it hard is they reduce the number of in combat checkpoints.
Because they're plentiful.
Yeah, they're very generous, I find. So I'm kind of excited to try that because like some combat scenarios go on for very, very long, and I feel like the checkpoint system is a bit liberal with like, oh, you got spotted right at the end, so we'll just put you back before that enemy.
You back like a minute, yeah.
So
I was actually shocked how many times when I died, like especially early on. Because you don't know that's going to happen. It's like, oh man, like I'm gonna have to start this whole thing. Oh, like I just got one dude left.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But oh my god! But I mean, one last thing on combat. It's how I remember reading that they'll say every NPC is going to have a name. And if you kill someone else might be like, oh no, Brad, like she got Brad, whatever.
Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew, and I'm like. that to me it's just a little touch, but what really got me were the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
That was just
100%.
oh my god! Especially when you play as Abby and you encounter all these dogs that you know, in the near future, Ellie's gonna just off. And I think the most heartbreaking one was Alice. Only much later did I realize, I was like, hang on, there was a dog in the aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, it's like, oh my god.
I do feel it's a bit on the nose. They're like, feel bad for this dog. You killed it as Ellie. But
Yeah.
I do think, I mean, I'm a huge animal lover, so of course it's going to affect me. But like, you play fetch with Alice in the aquarium with that like squid
the squishy
thing,
toy.
and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to.
But I mean, that was a wholesome moment as well, though, because it is like Yara and Lev are terrified of dogs because the wolves use dogs, and it's like, no, it's just a big furry friend. Like, here you go, you can throw it.
Yeah, their
was
slow
like, damn,
acceptance of the dog was a really touching moment. I thought that was because I've worked with my parents and their NPO. We've worked with people who are exactly like that, who I've seen go from being terrified of dogs to being absolutely in love with them. So like seeing that moment in a game was like, oh man, that's kind of special.
But I mean, I think just on that, the game gets a bad rap for being like this heavy, dark game. And it is, like 99% of the game, it is this, like this, I won't say dreadful because I don't mean dreadful, but it's like this heavy, dark, twisted,
It's
sad
uncomfortable.
story.
Yeah.
But yeah, uncomfortable is actually the right word. But then there are these moments that are so wholesome where I'm like, oh my God, like we spoke about Joel taking Ellie to the museum where they're in the spaceship. Like that's... Have I lost you?
Oh, you disappeared for a second there, but you're back.
Yeah, I saw. Okay. don't quit the recording. No, so talking about there are moments where, like, holy shit, Joel taking Ellie to the museum it's like it stand out for me, where her dreams to go to space, and Joel obviously in this apocalypse somehow found a museum that has not only dinosaurs but this whole space section, and he gives Ellie the opportunity to like sit in this pod, this launch pod. And like that's a wholesome moment. There are so many,
good.
Actually,
yeah.
well, I wouldn't say so many, but there are some of those littered in the game, and I think people mustn't just think like you're gonna just feel real bad this game. There are these uplifting moments, like Joel taking Ellie to the museum, Yara and Lev coming to like learning to be friends with a dog. I mean, it's like such a small thing.
Abby and her dad saving that zebra that was tangled.
Saving the zebra, yeah. I mean, like there's these really touching moments. Even like I feel so bad for Owen, actually, like just to talk on him for a second, because I mean, even from the beginning of the game, you sort of get the sense like there's a good side to him. Even when Abby and them are like Abby's killing Joel, Owen's sort of like, are you really going to do this? You know, he's got those moments. And then in all the flashbacks and the conversations I have with him, I was like, shit, this dude's actually a really good guy.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Yeah,
to have him die, I was like, shit. Like, what is this guy?
I mean, he gets
moments,
ostracized from the wolves because he basically just can't deal with killing scars anymore. He
got over it because I mean, you have to remember that him and Abby were these Fireflies so Fireflies disbanded after Joel killed
all of them,
Abby's
almost.
father. Yeah, all of them, and they just get put into this group, and then he's actually probably the first one to be like, why are we killing all these people? Like, what is the point of this?
He's the Dina to Abby.
Exactly, yeah. And that's it's so interesting how there are all these parallels between Ellie and Abby.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I just thought that Owen was one of my favorite characters because he really has some good moments, and he seems like a big-hearted guy who's just been fucked by the system.
And he becomes collateral. He like Ellie loses Dina, but Dina's still alive. Like because of Abby's decisions, like Owen gets killed, Nora gets killed, Mel, who's pregnant, gets killed, and that's just like it's a really sharp driving home point of like. I think the game does a good job of showing you how good these people are and just how quickly they can be like snuffed out because of the actions of it. Did you think Tommy died? I legitimately was surprised to see him at the farm again because I thought Abby
that he died. Yeah, I did think he had died.
I thought Abby just straight up shot him in the head. I was just like, how are you alive?
No, I don't think she. Although maybe she did, but I somehow doubt that. Because like realistically, if you get shot in the head, there's no way you're going to get taken back to Jackson.
Jesse got fucked up. So
yeah, Jesse got murdered, but.
I must have just seen it wrong because I thought he got killed. Like,
no, I think she did shoot him, but it wasn't in the head. Like it might have just been in the back, or I mean, he got shot
in the leg,
with an arrow. Yeah, oof, that must be so sore.
Yeah.
No, but even that, like, that's like he's a side character, but he's very much. I think Ellie sort of comes to terms with, like, Joel's death. We haven't even touched on that touching last moment. Memory. Oh, that moment is heavy. But by the end of the game, you see she lets Abby go and she's sort of reconciled a bit. Tommy's still out there, like, upset that Abby's alive.
Yeah, he just can't. He can't bring himself.
And you can't even say that, but Tommy doesn't know what Joel. It's like maybe he doesn't know that Joel killed Abby's father, but he knows that Joel fucked up.
Yeah, he knows that Joel made a bad. Like he made a choice, and that choice has consequences.
Yeah, but
I think too. Just to like, I think this is the last thing I'll say is like the two strongest points of the game are the parts where the game is forcing you to do things you don't want to do. I think where you are hunting Ellie in the theater as Abby, and then at the end where you're fighting Abby as Ellie. I think
it's awful. Holy shit!
It's incredible to me that you could get to a point where I'm playing as Abby and I'm hunting Ellie, and I don't want to succeed in this fight because I know what it potentially means for Ellie. So it's like you have to, like, the game's not giving you a choice. You have to do this thing, and Abby fucks Ellie up. I thought she was going to kill Dina. I thought, and to like, for the game to be like, you were a participant in this is hard. And then by the end of it, it's like, I'm playing as Ellie and I don't want her to kill Abby. I don't want her to exact revenge, but at the same time, the game isn't giving you a choice.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that so weird how it flips perspectives, and then if you do something wrong, you die. It's like, okay, the game clearly wants me to do the other end of this.
You have no agency. Just like at the end of the first game, this is a story they are telling, like, you can't play as Joel at the end of The Last of Us 1 and keep the Fireflies alive. You have to kill them. So the game is really good at making you a participant in that. And not saying, look at this bad thing you did, because that would be silly. If you don't have a choice, how can it chastise you for the choice that you made? But it makes you feel guilty for being complicit in it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. It was interesting to read in that interview that for a long time at the end, Ellie did kill Abby, and they changed it. I'm also super glad that they didn't go with 6 days per character, because I think that would have been far too long.
That would have been so long.
But yeah, I mean, it's not a game without faults. I don't think any game is without faults. But it lived up to my expectations.
It's a pretty stellar game, regardless.
Yeah, and I was one of the people that when they announced the sequel, I'm like, oh man, the ending for the first one was so good. I don't want them. I think this is I saw a headline yesterday of someone's article. They were like, The Last of Us 2 doesn't ruin the first ending. It completes it. And I'm like, yes. I understand why they went with the part 2, because this does feel like 2 parts of a single story.
Yeah. I mean, but I think a lot of people, also last thing I'll say on it, a lot of people are hung up on the fact that the first one had such a good ending that the game doesn't need a sequel, and that this ending doesn't live up to the first one. And I'm like, yeah, it's not.
It's
like,
a
I think
different
the first
type of ending.
It's a different type of ending. Like the first one's ending is so strong because it is like Joel made this big decision. He's not told Ellie. Will she figure it out? Will she leave Joel? What will she say? And it's sort of left up to
it's extremely ambiguous, yeah.
And it's very ambiguous, and those endings tend to be the most impactful because there is no distinctive answer.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, oh, okay, Joel did this, the end.
See the ending of Inception.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, she's like, Whereas this ending as well, it's not a thing that leaves you to. Well, I mean, there are aspects to wonder, like where does Ellie go? What happens to Abby and Lev? But it's not that sort of level. But what I can say 100%, it's left such an impression on me, very much on the same sort of level that the first game did, where I can't stop talking about it and I can't stop thinking about it. And like that to me just makes it a great game. Like I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's like I just want to talk to people about it, get their opinion. And so it's not the first game, but it's different.
The ending is heartbreaking. Like straight up, it is a, you know, it's not like an expected heartbreak. It's just like you feel Ellie's pain. Like, yeah, it's a really, really sad ending.
It's real cool that she can't play guitar. Why?
Yeah, man. As soon as the camera opens when she's back on the farm and focuses on her fingers, I'm like, oh fuck, I know exactly what they're gonna do.
It's amazing that you and I had the exact same thought, because it's like you just know music is so. The fact that she can play guitar and music is so interwoven into the game. That's the first thing you think, like, oh shit, she can't play anymore.
And throughout the game, it's touched on that it's like her connection to Joel. It's the thing that he left for her, and in a very on the nose metaphorical way, it's the thing that she lost in this pursuit to get him back. It's like when you start playing the guitar and you hear her missing notes, it's like every single missed note just like hits you in the gut. You're like,
it hits
fuck.
You, yeah. Damn.
It's
the game's good though, man.
The game is phenomenal. It's really really something, and I implore people to play it. It's a game with such big, you know, budget and money behind it. So for it to take so many risks with its story, like I'm not expecting everyone to like this story. I've seen
for sure.
I'm enjoying that the discourse now has moved on to more meaningful critique, and I can like read pieces by people who make solid arguments as to why they don't think some aspects of the story work, and that to me is fair. But yeah, I think just ignore all the shouting of like. I hate it when people just have a one line where they're like, the writing is bad. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, explain why the writing is bad. The specific use of the word like irks me, because it's like, you have never ever, and you know, I've seen people that I know, I'm like, you have never said this about a game, but now the writing is bad. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, but it's the same one liner of like, no, they pushing an agenda.
Yeah,
they're putting politics in my game, or I don't need this, like there's too much SJW pandering.
And most of the time when the people that I've seen saying this, they're like, the writing's bad because they killed Joel. It's like, no, that's a decision. It's a decision that you might not agree with, but that alone does not make the writing bad. Like, and yeah. Anyway, I don't want to end this on a negative note.
Don't end on a negative note. What I will say is, if you've read the what is that resource we all use at school? Is it Cliff Notes? If you've read the Cliff Notes spoiler leaks of the game and you've made your decision, like I implore you to reconsider and play, like color in the backstory, because you don't know.
Those leaks don't show you the characterization.
No, not at all. Like, I've seen one or two videos of people like, I've seen 2 hours of gameplay, so I get a good gist. I'm like, yeah, you missed out on the other 28 hours of just walking through the world and having some lines thrown between characters. Like, you miss all of the nuance. So,
and I'm not saying you have to play the 30-hour game to have an opinion on it, but like engage with it beyond, like you said, the cliff notes of the plot. Like, I don't think that does it justice. And now that I've read it, it definitely doesn't do the story justice. Yeah, that's all I can say. Like, even if you watch a full fucking 30-hour live stream or something, you know, whatever. Just engage with it beyond the petty nonsense that has been going around, and it's thankfully subsided quite a bit, I think.
I mean, remember when all those boycotts stopped the game from selling 4 million copies in the first week?
I was actually chatting to Neelan yesterday about it, because I
also messaged him. I was like, listen, great game, don't let the haters get you down.
I know the studio's been through a lot. Like, he was like, yeah, the reception after the reviews came out, when the game wasn't even out, he was like, that really deflated him. Just with like
I'm sure.
He was like, there's so many bad faith arguments going around, there's so many, nonsense going around, it like really, really deflated him. And I imagine the day of launch as well, just with like everyone who clearly had played the game making their comments on Reddit, like must be really disheartening. So I'm glad that the game is not only sold well, but like a week after, it seems like people are engaging with it in a more honest way, and mostly liking it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but that's The Last of Us 2. But really, sure, I don't know. I don't know if it's my game of the year, because there's been a lot of good games this year, but it's definitely up there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's a game. It's a game that will stick with me for a while. Even with the small issues I have with it, it's like it's going to stay with me. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So do you want to move on? Do you want to touch on what else you've been playing?
No, because we're like more than an hour in already. So
I mean,
I've been playing Bloodborne, but I want to chat about that more next week, because I have some thoughts on my second playthrough of the game that I don't want to condense into like 2 minutes. So
all I can say is you replaying the game has me dying to replay the game.
It's really good.
This is the curse of Souls games. I've now learned that you can watch 2 minutes of gameplay and you just have this itch like, ooh, I'd love to play.
I feel fucking good at this game now. Again, like I got through the Forbidden Forest without dying, and I basically got to the Shadows of Yharnam. I knew they were there, and I was like, I have over 100,000 echoes. I'm gonna go back and just respec and then take them on. Because like I remember that all those snake pits giving me issue, and I was just like fucking breezing through them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, when you're done with Bloodborne, you have to play Dark Souls 3
or Sekiro again.
Or Sekiro, but Sekiro it's the Souls game, but it's different.
Yeah.
But Dark Souls has such an overlap with Bloodborne.
Yeah, I think I'll be in that mode. I'll be in that sort of so maybe that's a much better game to tackle first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the lore of Bloodborne. I don't say that enough. Like, I've watched so many videos and read so many things about Bloodborne's lore. It just fascinates me. I mean, I linked you to that document. It was actually someone at GameSpot mentioned it to me, and I was like, I've never heard of this. I need to read this, and it's like 100-page lore deep dive on Bloodborne, and it's so good.
Can I tell you, I was on my phone. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me check this thing. It's a Google Doc. Okay, it's 5 pages. Okay, it's still loading. It's 15. Nope, it's 109 pages.
Yeah, it is a deep dive, but it is so good. It is like, oh man, I'm having so much fun reading through it. I'm not done yet, but man, it is good. Yeah.
But Bloodborne, I've poured all of my time into The Last of Us 2 the past week.
And now you're playing something else that you can't talk about.
Playing something else, haven't started yet, but I've also been plugging away at Xenoblade. And I say plugging away, like I haven't really put a lot of time into it. I'm 20 hours in, still just like scratching the surface. But in the coming weeks, as I like get to the end or halfway, whatever, like I will have more thoughts on it. But this is not the episode, because damn, we've gone over.
Yeah, I've also been playing more Pokemon Shield. Last weekend was real whiplash, because I was bouncing between Pokemon Sword and Bloodborne, which is like going from the easiest game I've ever played to like the hardest game. But I'm into Sword a lot more than I was at launch. Like after about 2 hours at launch, I kind of gave up on Pokemon. I was just like, I get this. I get why this is fun. This is just, at the time, it was just like, this is too easy and it's not engaging for me. And now I'm like really in it and I'm really enjoying it. So
so I've got the expansion, which I also need to get to.
Same.
At some point in my life.
But I'm digging Pokemon. I do think, I mean, this is coming from someone who hasn't played the series as religiously as the people who really like the series. Oh my God, Siri just decided to work on my phone. I hope that doesn't destroy my camera. Oh, it did.
It did. It's back.
But like, I feel like that game in a like structural way needs to be changed, because man, it's the same thing. Like,
can I tell you, I've only played a Pokemon back on the OG Game Boy.
Yeah.
Okay. And every Pokemon release I've heard, like, nope, the story's about you. You know, you want to be the very best. You're going through the gyms. And I thought,
like, no one ever was.
Yeah, like no one ever knows. I thought Sword and Shield would be different, and it's not. You're still going through all the gyms, going through the same beats, and even I'm like, as much as I enjoy the game, even I'm like, okay, this is the story. It's literally just me ticking off the boxes, and it indicates how far you're in the game as well. It's like, oh, I'm now the gym master.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't. The structure really gets me. It's just like it's the same thing, and I guess maybe that's comforting for like returning fans. Like you really want that, but I'm just like kind of over it already. So yeah.
No, at some point they have. Well, I mean, I say this like 20 years into the franchise. At some point they have to change the formula. I mean, I don't know. Will they? Won't they? I think they could do some interesting stuff, but we'll have to wait for. Well, I suppose we could get to that in news.
Oh yeah.
The
Okay. So
Pokemon stuff.
let's do that.
Do game releases. Yeah.
Let's do Game's releases. Fiji.
I need to get my little browser open. I don't even know what's coming out.
So yeah, July is getting busy again, but it's getting busy with like a bunch of games I'm interested in. I don't know if they're like super blockbuster games, but yeah, we'll see. We're looking at game releases between today, June 27th, and July 3rd. Can you fucking believe it?
Where did the time
There's
go?
only 2 games, and there are
Nice.
2 ones I want to play.
Yes.
So on July 1st, we have the remake of Trackmania. Super stoked.
What?
Stoked.
It's a remake of Trackmania?
How did you not know this?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Is it coming to every platform?
To PC first.
Damn it. I have a minor history with Trackmania where I think it was Trackmania Nations.
Yes.
I played a bunch when I got ADSL back in the day. It
That's
was
the
a good
one I
time.
played a lot of. Yeah, Nations
Yeah.
was awesome. So this is like... Well, Nations was just like a small iteration of the first Trackmania as far as I know. So the gameplay of this is very similar to Nations. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm super stoked.
Good time.
Then on July 3rd, Marvel's Iron Man VR.
Oh, that's cool.
Going to be Tony Stark Simulator.
Tony, so are you getting that?
We might get it for review, hopefully. I don't know. The main thing that I don't want to do is set up PSVR again, because after having the Quest, the PSVR is a fucking pain to set up. It is really not fun. But yeah, that looks fun. Apparently, it feels really cool to move controllers, to use them as your 2 arms to kind of fly and do stuff.
Around.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's cool. That's it.
That's it. That's the releases.
That's the releases. That's
So
all she wrote.
that's all short. So back to Pokemon in news. Pokemon Direct this week.
Yes,
Pokemon-
the one that they
Pokemon
teased last week. Yeah.
Pokemon of Legends revealed for Switch and mobile. Basically a Pokemon MOBA.
Wait, is it
What's
called Pokemon Unite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Pokemon of Legends.
No,
we're
it's
talking
not.
about. League of Pokemons.
No, get out of here. Defense of the
It
defense of
looks
the Pokemon.
It looks a lot like League of Legends aesthetically. It really does. But yeah, it's a new Pokemon game coming out.
Dotamon.
Dotamon, my god.
Yes, but there's
that
a
happened.
Pokemon MOBA coming out. When I saw this, I was like, how has this not been done before? Like, it just pinged in my head. Like,
know.
of course, Pokemon lend themselves so well to the archetypes of MOBAs. Like, of course this will happen. So it looks cool though. It looks very approachable. It's the Pokemon-ified version of a MOBA.
Yeah.
So there's no release date, I don't think.
I don't know when it's coming out, but I'd be keen to just check it out.
And it's mobile and Switch, and they said there's going to be cross-play.
Crossplay.
Yeah.
Get out.
It looks cool. I think it's more focused on points, so it's not like defeating an ancient. To me, it looks like you get points by killing enemies, and then you have to like
points,
bank
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. What What else? What else? So
Steam summer sales here to rob your wallet.
the Steam
Although
sale.
I haven't bought a thing on Steam for a long time because I got a backlog.
I just
making
bought
my way
Doom
through.
Eternal because I'd been waiting for the
for
the
sale,
sale
just for that
to do
reason.
that. Yeah, and as soon as the sale went up, it was like, oh, 50% off. I was like, boom, done.
Take my money.
Take my money. The one thing I also want to maybe buy is a Cloudpunk because that's like $90, and apparently that's pretty fun.
Cloudpunk.
Yeah, it's like a voxel cyberpunk game, but you're like it's a narrative adventure. You're like a taxi driver in a cyberpunk city.
Damn,
looks
that's
cool.
quite cool.
Looks really cool, and I'm down for it. Yeah. Speaking of cyberpunk, there was a big cyberpunk stream this week. Night City Wire, I think it was called. Night Wire City. That thing, I don't know.
One of those.
Basically, we got a new trailer for the game, which made it seriously look like GTA, didn't it?
It did. I was actually completely shocked by because like in all the material leading up to this point, the game looks very like super serious. It's going to deal with some heavy material in typical CD Projekt Red fashion. It's all about decisions, and there's no black or white. It's all grey. And then this trailer comes out, and it looks like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, you can just run around and kill things.
You can run around and do stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm for it. It looks good.
I'm still super stoked for this game. I think the trailer's tone didn't do it for me, but the gameplay that came after really did. That feature that they showed off called Mind Dance, I think it was called, which was basically like you using sort of like security cameras and information that has been reconstructed to like put together a story, almost like a Batman Arkham detective mode thing. The thing it reminded me a lot of was I don't know if you ever played a game called Tacoma. No. It's made by Fulbright, the developers of Gone Home, and the whole conceit of Tacoma is you are on the space station, and you are using like a timeline to like scrub back and forth between conversations, but you can actually see the holograms of the people who made these conversations. So you have to follow them into rooms to continue hearing their conversation. So sometimes, sometimes you'll have like a group of people where they're talking and they'll all split up. So you've got to follow one person, rewind, come back, follow another person, and piece together the story in that manner.
Shit, okay.
And Mind Dance reminded me a lot of that. So I'm keen to see what they do with that.
Well, my favorite bit of information from that whole direct, whatever, comes in the form of this headline by Darren. It says, Cyberpunk 2077 will allow you to customize everything from jaw size down to flesh flute.
Hell yes. Flesh flute is a new one to me. That is definitely a Darrenism.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
But yeah, you can do... What was the thing I saw? 5 different types of pubic hair.
Yeah.
Also only one type of vagina. Don't know why that is a thing. But yeah, so character creator is in depth, put it that way.
It's super in depth, damn.
But there were a lot of previews for the game came out, and I was surprised to see most previews kind of all agree that the shooting feels really good. A lot of people that I saw comparing it to the like sort of crunchiness of Destiny, which really makes me excited because I think Destiny's got superb gunplay. Yeah. So I'm very happy that it, aside from being an RPG, seems to have very good combat. So yeah, that got delayed. Was that this week? I think it was.
Was it this week? Oh, was it last week?
Maybe it was last week. Well, it's in November now, so.
It's in November.
Yeah, November 19th, I think it is.
Which is fine.
So far away. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Netflix gave us a glimpse of the Cuphead animated series.
Yeah, I did see. I didn't watch anything, but I saw a headline. I was like, they're making an animated series.
It looks so good.
Cuphead is on sale on Steam. I should really play it.
That game, man. Netflix is going full on with like the Fleischman animation style, and man, that series looks good. I'm very excited for it. Yeah.
Oh my god, I need to play it.
What else? Naughty Dog says they have absolutely no plans for The Last of Us Part 2 DLC. If you recall, the first game had an expansion called Left Behind, which was like a sort of prequel to Ellie's story. Yeah. No such thing is being done for Part 2. So,
well,
I'm kind of
story's done.
Kind of hoping that Naughty Dog's next thing is a new IP. I know that's very daunting and difficult, and have no idea what they'll do. But I'm curious to see what they would do. You know,
I'm very look. I wouldn't say no to. I mean, I say this I don't think they would do another The Last of Us or Uncharted.
At least not next. I think if they announce Part 3 as like their very next thing, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I need to see what else will the studio do, because so much room for opportunity here. In other news, Microsoft is pulling the plug on Mixer.
Yes, that was the big thing from this week. Yeah,
which is quite something, because Microsoft when was it? It's like a few months ago or a year ago. They grabbed Ninja and Shroud.
Yeah, it was just under a year ago they started that with Ninja, and then Shroud was like a month or two later.
And look, to be completely honest, I would think that's a very smart thing to do, because you're like, I need to grow this platform. It's not happening organically. How can we just we
need to do it quickly as well? Yeah,
we need to do it quickly. Let's grab two of the biggest streamers from Twitch and bring their viewers over to Mixer. It clearly did not work because Mixer had no growth. Like, I think if you look at the data and actual reports, it's like that those two streamers coming over made like little to no impact at all. So I think Microsoft have realized like it's a money sink, and they're just putting the plug on it.
Well, so that doesn't mean that they're getting out of streaming entirely. They are going.
No.
They're going to be teaming up with Facebook Gaming. Facebook is just gross. And they basically reportedly offered partnered streamers the chance to just move their contract over to Facebook Gaming. So I've seen reports that Ninja and Shroud in particular, they were offered double their contracts with Facebook Gaming. And Ninja was signed for $30 million. So he was offered $60 million by Facebook Gaming, and he turned it down and forced Microsoft to pay out his contract. So in less than a year, he basically got $30 million from Microsoft.
Which is, sure.
He was, someone did the math,
something.
he was earning $92,000 a day on Mixer.
$92,000 a day.
A day.
That is.
That's obscene. I'm sorry. That's like over $1 million a day.
That is incredibly obscene. I mean, I don't know how Microsoft were hoping to recoup that. Like, that's just throwing money at
problems.
Throwing money away. Yeah.
It seems these big companies with streaming platforms are doing that lately. I mean, we were talking about it before we recorded, but it seems that Dr. Disrespect has been banned from Twitch. Twitch isn't saying why, but it's being reported that the ban is permanent, and they signed a deal with him just a few months ago as well for millions of dollars to keep him exclusive on Twitch. It's like, you guys just have fucking money to throw away, or
I think Twitch does have money to throw away. They've got lots of money.
That's not to suggest like, oh, if he did some reprehensible shit, which is entirely likely, because like Twitch is taking action on a lot of streamers who have had sexual allegations leveled against them. So maybe that is why.
Maybe he did. Yeah.
Maybe that's why you got taken off. And I'm not going to say, oh, they should keep him on despite that because they've paid a lot of money for him. But like, man, these platforms are just like making bad business decisions.
Throw some, like, just throw $1 million into my pocket. I won't complain.
Yeah, exactly. I won't assault anyone. I'll stream regularly, and you can just give me $1 million, and I'll be happy.
That's cool, man. I'll be there.
It's just, it feels kind of gross when you see like, you know, you contrast like, oh man, Ninja and Shroud made bank off Mixer, and then you look at the other side and all these people who are much smaller, who had tried to build a community on Mixer because it was different to Twitch, just like having their entire livelihood upended one Monday morning.
Well, I mean, that's a conversation I had to have with myself almost 2 years ago, when it was like, I want to start streaming. what do I do? Do I go like at the time Twitch or Mixer?
I
Because
do
Mixer
remember,
is this, Mixer's this new platform. It's got a lot of potential. It's very exciting. But I inevitably ended up going with Twitch, and I'm glad I did, because if I'd gone with Mixer, like I'm not Ninja. I can't just move my audience. I'd have to build from scratch.
Yeah, and that's
it's
you
quite
know, a lot of
something.
people went to Mixer because they were like, this has got a different like vibe to it. You know, not many people here, so building a community might be quicker. You know, like there were sound reasons people did that, and yeah, I also thought Mixer's streaming quality is a lot better than Twitch, but
I think Mixer had a lot of good ideas that. Yeah,
the
just
audience
sadly didn't pan
interaction
out.
stuff was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just shows like trying to topple a giant is difficult.
Yeah.
What else? We got another look at the Avengers game.
I didn't watch any of it. What is it like? No, I see some head shaking. Okay.
I still don't think this game looks good. Like, I just can't. Like, so they showed off gameplay with Thor, and man, it just looks like the combat just looks so boring. I can't put my finger on it. Like, it just looks so stale and not engaging, and like it's cool. Like Thor's got his attacks, like you can throw your hammer around and like target a few people and watch the hammer bounce between people and come back to your hand, and you can transition from being on the floor and flying and using like you have probably one of the most exciting characters on show there, Thor, because he's like a literal god. And like it just like he was just wailing on this mech for like so long. It's just like I don't know. It just looks so boring. So like the fact that then they're like, oh, that's just one character. Now you have this whole class of characters who are each of them will have gear, and all of that gear is like leveled, and each character will play differently. And I'm just like, man, but if you can't nail the fundamentals of the combat for the one, I don't have faith that any of these characters are going to be fun to play. And then I have to invest a lot of time into like, min-maxing each one of them. It's just like, man, I'm just not. I'm not into it. I can't get excited about it. And it's like Avengers. I fucking love the Avengers. Like,
no, but
this
I mean,
game's
it's
not doing it
we've
for me at all.
We've said 4 million times this game should have come out 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's looking so rough as well. It's for a game that's out in September. It's
I
just don't know what to make of it, and I think launching a live service game maybe a month or two before new consoles come out, it's scary. They did say that it's going to be
coming
free
next gen
upgrades,
well.
yeah, but man, I don't know.
Good lord.
What else?
Not Pokemon.
Every time
Animal
your video
Crossing.
freezes, my heart like sinks a little bit.
Every time what?
Your video freezes, my heart sinks a little bit. Because I don't know if it's my connection or your connection, but I'm just like,
know.
One of these freezes is not going to come back. Like,
we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing New Horizons getting some little content
that
updates.
update is cool.
So it's called the summer update. I think.
Wave 1.
Free. Do you think that's pun intended?
It better be.
Huh?
Better be.
So this update just shows a little bit of extra content coming to the game. One feature of which is that you can now swim in the ocean, which I'm like, that looks awesome. Except here in the south, we're in winter. Are we allowed to swim in the freezing cold ocean?
I'm kind of curious if it's limited to like the summer and spring seasons.
Summer, I don't know. Summer, I think it won't be, but at the same time, I'm like, it could be a weird seasonal thing. Are we gonna have to wait till September? Oh wait, no, so not September, like actual summer months.
Yeah, till
October,
we can
November
swim.
to get it.
Yeah.
Like, nah, man. Okay, but that's coming. So that's the first wave of
maybe you
updates.
just like if it's winter, you put on like a wetsuit.
Yeah, look, I don't think I can run around my snowy island in shorts if I want to, and you're not going to stop me.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, but it looks cool. It's like you've got new marine life to kind of like find. You've got a new merchant who's apparently a mainstay of the series. What's his name?
A new merchant.
Pascal.
Oh, the sea otter.
Yeah,
I
the
think?
otter. Yeah, the red otter. You can trade scallops
Stuff.
for DIY recipes, so that's cool.
Damn.
Yeah, that's out on July 3rd, and apparently the second wave, is coming in August. Yeah.
Yeah. So the game continues to be wholesome and awesome, and it's just got more content coming. But I think that's news.
Yeah, some quick fire things here. Rogue Legacy is coming to early access next month on PC. There is a report of a remaster of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, that 2010 really good one that was made by Criterion. So I'm fucking down for that. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is getting a sequel. So if you remember...
I saw that as well.
Yeah, Curse of the Moon was like the NES sort of game that accompanied Ritual of the Night. And it was received really well. I think it was like a prequel to the story in Ritual of the Night. So, now it's getting a sequel, so that's cool. Facebook acquires developer Ready at Dawn, who you'll remember made the Order 1886 for the PS4.
Oh, yeah, Facebook acquired them.
So,
RIP
chances of a sequel. Yeah. I think then the last one is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time.
Oh, yeah, I saw
literally called that.
I liked that trailer. I really thought... Even the choice of music, it's like such a callback to 90s, which is when the first Crash came out. So it was very clever.
I'm so stoked. It's like a direct sequel to Crash Bandicoot 3.
Yeah, I mean, Crash Bandicoot 3 was Warped.
Warped,
What is it called? Warped.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't play Crash Bandicoot. I played bits and pieces of one, but 3 is the one I actually played, like from beginning to end.
Yeah,
and
3 is the first one that I really completed, and it's so good.
3's got that little level on the Great Wall of China.
Oh, were you on the tiger?
Riding a little tiger, like that's seared in my memory. I've got such fond memories of that.
And the music is so good. Oh,
it's so good. But yeah, the trailer looked like a lot of fun, and I think it looks good, and I hope it's a return to form for Crash, because I mean, you're a bigger fan, so you can tell me whether this is right or wrong. But I think after 3, like the series just hasn't really peaked quite the same way.
Yeah, no,
like,
it bounced between developers. There were some good ones. I really like Crash Bandicoot to Insanity, which is where I can't remember how, but Crash and Neo Cortex are like their hands are like joined, so they can't let go of each other, which led to some really weird things, because you could use like Cortex as like a hammer and stupid shit like that.
Cool,
like it's basically a game of just Crash torturing Cortex, because there's like parts where you like snowboarding and you're using Cortex as a board. I'm like, man, this guy's just really getting fucked at every corner.
That's amazing.
But that game, I remember that game being really fun. But then there was some like Activision ones that try to make it more like an adventure game, like enemies at health bars and stuff like that, and I just didn't vibe with those at all.
Stick to the good platforming.
Yeah.
And just the what's it, Wampa fruit?
Yeah. Burubuga. So yeah, I'm stoked for that. Coming. I will say, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, those water levels can get fucked. The scuba levels.
I don't remember them.
I hated them.
PTSD. Got suppressed memory.
Hated them. But yes, very excited. Oh, that's also coming out in October, so that's soon. Not coming to Switch though.
That actually is. I think it maybe not yet. I have an idea that it will get.
It was announced for PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
All the things.
So that's it.
So that.
Oh, last thing. There's a report. Eurogamer basically has a report saying that yes, Rocksteady, developers of Batman Arkham games, are making a Suicide Squad game.
Yep.
It kind of deflated my excitement, because I'm just like,
It's Avengers, but the DC.
Man, if it's a fucking live service game, but it's like Suicide Squad, I'm just gonna be like, why did we do this?
Why you got to do this? Yeah.
Okay, Should we get to questions?
Let's get to questions. If you've got questions,
if you want to send us questions, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social platforms at Checkpoint Chat. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram, and most importantly, it's on TikTok.
It's on TikTok, dude.
You know, you got it. Importantly. Send us
Okay,
send us your questions as a TikTok. Can you
As
do
a
that? I
TikTok.
don't know if you can do that. You should be able to do that
Pretty sure you can message a person directly.
with the TikTok.
Okay, on Facebook we have Franco for I don't know. I'm probably butchering his surname. Franco for Leo.
Okay.
So I'll give you some insights. This is Franco Jr. who works at the Franco's down the road from us. Makes some good pizza.
We should.
and pasta.
I mean, if it wasn't a small business, I'd say we should get sponsored. But
No,
I want to
so
sponsor
funny.
them with my money.
So yeah, I want to sponsor them with all my money for pizza and pasta.
Pizza.
So Lenska's been. I mean, we order from there so regularly.
Yeah,
but
I'm very
Lenska's
jealous.
usually the one to collect, and they often chat. And I learned that Franco listens religiously to the podcast, which I think is freaking awesome.
That's cool.
But I've also learned that it upsets his girlfriend because he listens to it like not all the time, like whenever there's an episode, and it drives her mad.
Oh, is it?
hey there.
Sorry
Sorry
for causing issues in your relationship. But thank you for
so
the
sorry.
support. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
That's really cool.
Thank you for the good pizza. Come visit us. We'll get some takeout.
Yeah,
Don't visit.
next
We'll-
time-
we'll eat in our cars 2 meters apart.
I mean, I've
Okay.
only been there once, but I think when we reopen properly, I'd like to come visit again and maybe meet people there. Because, oh man,
Meet peeps.
the one time I have been there when you invited us was so good. I really liked it.
It was a good time. Okay, so his actual question, it says, did the scene with Joel, okay, he says spoiler free, but we've spoiled the episode. Did the scene with Joel, spoiler free, somehow put you off the game, especially if you were the biggest fan of the first one?
Well, I guess let's try to keep it spoiler free. Otherwise, we have to make another time
Oh,
code.
yeah, true.
The scene with Joel, it didn't. Not really. I think mostly because I was expecting it. I think even before going into this game, I kind of assumed that's where it was going. I think a lot of the marketing suggested as much. So yes, it's a shocking scene, but I wasn't angry about it because I didn't feel like
No.
I don't feel like man, this is really difficult to talk about without spoiling it. Okay, how about this? If you don't want to hear spoilers, just next 2 minutes, just skip. We'll
away.
keep it for 2 minutes. I'm watching 2 minutes. I don't think The Last of Us is necessarily Joel's story. So I don't think him dying is a problem to the story, put it that way. I think it's a motivator for the other characters more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your opinion?
No, look, it's upsetting, but it didn't put me off the game. It made me want to play the game more because I wanted to be like, why? Like, what was the motive behind this? And I mean, that pushed me. It had the complete opposite effect. I was like, well, of course I'm going to play Ellie and go hunt down Abby. Like, what is going on here?
It makes you
So
angry. It's like, fuck these guys.
It was.
Yeah.
It's like, why would they, why would this happen? And yeah, so play the game. I think he was upset about it, like, shit, unexpected. But I think definitely keep playing the game. It's a ride, and you get insights and backstory.
I mean, I
that-
can understand from a perspective, like, you have an attachment to Joel because you played as him in the first game and you empathized with his choices and whatever. But I think it's also important just to realize, like, Joel did some fucked up things. Like, Joel really had what happened to him coming to him.
Yeah.
Irrespective of whether you agree with what he did, there are reasons for what happened to him.
Yeah.
So I think when you reconcile that, it doesn't make it easier, but it makes you understand why he isn't a hero at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think no one's a hero in this game.
No,
so,
absolutely no one is a hero in this game.
Yeah.
And that's what I love
But yeah,
about it. Shades of grey.
Keep playing. It's
I just
really-
want to share like this stupid piece of, I saw someone replying to Neil Druckmann yesterday being like, this is how the game should have ended. And it just shows Ellie confronting Abby with a golf club. And I'm just like, are you fucking joking?
Oh, okay, dude.
What fucking fan service
There
fiction
are-
nonsense is this?
I've also read through threads where it's like, here's how the game should have ended, and it's just like, no, you kind of just.
It's either like
losing-
super predictable and boring, or it's just like, what the fuck? Like,
or it's over the top. Like, okay,
yeah,
I
I
think there's a
don't
reason-
get it. Yeah. Anyway.
okay, so that's welcome back. Spoilers are over.
Yeah, that was around 2 minutes, so that was perfect.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Good
I was
times.
watching the time. Yeah.
I have an email here from Malesh. It
Mm.
says,
From
"Hey
down
guys, so
under. I guess we're
from down out,
down under as
from
well.
down under.
I wonder how
Put
cold it is in
another
Australia right now.
Shrimp on the barbie." Says, "Hey guys, I've got a question for Alessandro. Seeing that we've pretty much worked at the same places, I was wondering about the coding stuff. What programming language do you currently use? And if not the same, what is your preferred programming language? I've pretty much been on the Java Spring bandwagon for my entire career, but recently started using Kotlin, and it's
Kotlin.
dope."
Yeah.
Kotlin.
Yeah, Kotlin's
The hell is
Kotlin,
Kotlin?
Kotlin's like a more I'm losing the word now, but like it's a more it's like a language that can work across multiple platforms. It's Saturday. Give me a break.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Yeah, but it's more like I know a lot of people are using it for Android development. We aren't. We're using Java at the moment. So I'm basically at the moment working in 3 different things. At Discovery, I started with native development. So I was working with Java and Apple's programming language, Swift, for iOS. So doing the apps for both. And now I've started using JavaScript for the more cross-platform aspects. So code that works on both Android and iOS at the same time. So I'm doing all 3 right now, which is breaking my brain because they all use different rules and it's fucking with me, switching from one to the other almost daily.
Good lord.
My favorite is C# because that's what Unity uses and that's what I've mostly programmed in, and I really like C#. So yeah, but I'm doing app development at the moment, and it's fun. It's I find it far more engaging than doing like back-end development. I like visual stuff. I like writing a piece of code and refreshing my phone emulator and seeing it do something. You know what I mean?
Do some stuff. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
But it is kind of interesting that Militia and I think he mentioned that he also worked at BBD back in the day. So yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fascinating.
Does he know a Jason Pon?
I wonder, actually, yeah, because I met Jason at BBD, so it was just complete fucking sheer luck that I got put into the same project as Jason and then saw his surname and then was like, "Do you have a brother?" And he's like, "Yeah, Gareth." I'm like, "This is weird. No way."
So Malesh, if on the off chance you do know a Jason Pon, that is the brother of my best friend from high school. What a small world.
Mhm.
So bam.
He's moved to the UK now.
We basically know each other.
Jason's moved to the UK, hasn't he?
He's in the UK now, yeah.
Yeah.
Him and his lovely wife.
And
off from the UK.
I'm so bad with names. Your other 2 friends who were at your wedding.
Oh, Hadman and Roxy.
Hammond and Roxy,
Yeah,
that's it, yeah. Who are just
they
about
are
to have a
in the
child,
UK.
or they had a child.
They had a child.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Little Bubba Eli.
Eli.
Okay.
That's a cool name.
Eli.
It's a cool name. I like that a lot.
Oh, no, wait. Allah. Elijah? I think it's Elijah.
Well, Eli's
Yeah.
short for Elijah.
Eli's short, yeah. So there we go. Okay, over on Instagram we have a question. I think this is from Trebs. Z_Z_Z01.
Oh my
which
god.
I'm pretty sure from.
It's Trebs, back from the e-gamer days. Holy shit.
He says, "Can we expect AC Valhalla to be delayed after the slight scandal?" Which we actually did not get to in news. I don't know how that didn't pop up.
Yeah, so if you're not
yeah.
familiar, Ashraf Ishmael, who is was the creative director on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, has stepped back from his role after allegations that he cheated on his wife, or allegations of infidelity, which to me shouldn't constitute any repercussions in the workplace, because that's to me a family issue between consenting adults. I think where it becomes prickly is that it seems like the infidelity involved fans at like conventions and stuff like that, which starts becoming a problem for Ubisoft then.
Yeah.
So yeah, he stepped back. He's not working on the game anymore. I don't think it will be delayed, because I think at this point the game
It's
is
far along now.
4 months away. The creative direction is pretty much done.
Yeah.
At this point, this is like polishing and getting small things done. I do think someone will have to take over like small directorial duties at this point, but I think most of his job is done. So yeah, I don't think so. But that's really sad because he directed Assassin's Creed Origins as well. If you didn't know, I respect him a lot as a game developer, and I'm just sad to hear that this is the case, that he is involved in all of this. So yeah, it's been a week for that shit.
It's been an interesting week.
Yesterday Ubisoft announced some executives that have been put on suspension as they're investigated, and one of them is someone I've interviewed before, so I felt really gross about that.
Oh shit!
Maxime Belland. I interviewed him for Far Cry Primal. I even went back to find the video because I'm like, I recognize that name, and I was like, yep, there he is. Cool, that's awesome, yay!
Good lord.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question comes from Best_Bash. He says, can I borrow a PlayStation 4, a suitable TV, and The Last of Us 2?
These are all very big demands, I think.
These are very big demands. I do not have a TV. I do have a PS4 and The Last of Us 2, though. But I cannot lend you my PlayStation because I'm busy using it for stuff.
I'm busy playing Bloodborne as well.
For reasons.
I will also not lend anyone my TV because that thing is just too big to put back up on the wall.
Big. How are you going to put that in a car?
Fuck that, Jesus. I remember the day I bought that thing and I was literally like,
oh my God.
I bought it because it was like, I bought it on a whim on like a Black Friday thing. And then I had a friend with me who was helping me carry it to the car, and we got to my Polo and I was like, I may have fucked up. It like just fit.
Oh my gosh, what would you have done? I suppose you would have had to make.
I would have had to like take it back to the shop and be like, "Can you deliver this?"
Listen, that would have been such a funny conversation. Like walk back in, lugging this thing. Like, hey,
it does not fit in my car.
Listen.
It made me laugh. It was like I had to like put my back seats down and then I had to angle it. It just fit in my little Polo.
Wow.
And that's 55. 55 is not that big. Like, okay, well, when I upgraded to 55, it took me a while for my eyes to be like, man, this is huge. But now I look at it and it's like, fine. I mean, I see a 75-inch TV and I'm just like, this is obscene.
How?
This is crazy.
Yeah,
but I look back at my 32-inch TV and I'm like, man, that's tiny.
It's so small. You can't go back.
How did I use this as a TV? Like, my monitor's just barely smaller than this. Like, yeah.
Well, like, there's a reason. I mean, on Black Friday last year, when I'd always had my eye out on, like, I want a high refresh rate monitor. And, like, the 24-inch ones are more or less affordable. Like, they're a couple thousand, but they're a lot more affordable than the 27-inch ones. I'm like, I ain't going from 27-inch down to 24-inch.
No, it's hard.
I'm sorry. I will be a snub. I will not go back.
The one thing I do wish, I mean, it's a real nitpicky thing, but I noticed it more when Shani was over and because she didn't have power at her place, so she came over to do some work, and she hooked up her laptop to my gaming monitor because I'm not using that monitor for work. I'm using an older 24-inch monitor that I find a bit better for work. And that's mainly because, like, 27-inch, but it's still only HD. Like, for games, 100% fine. But if you're doing text, that pixel density starts getting to you. And you start seeing, like, the sharpness of the text is not really that sharp.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I was like, should have gone for, like, 1440p or something. But, like, I do, like, no work on this monitor. It's only for gaming. So I'm like, whatever.
I have actual PTSD, which is why I'm a snob about monitors. Okay, so let me tell you a quick story before we end the show.
I'm ready.
Okay, so remember back in the day, monitors, not flats. They are giant boxes.
Yes, okay. CRTs, what a time.
CRTs, I have no idea how we got hold of it. I think it was a second-hand monitor. I was very little. But we had a 21-inch CRT.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, 21-inch sounds small by today's standards, but let me tell you, that was a big box. Okay, screens back then were like 14 to 15-inch, like laptop-sized CRT monitors. So 21-inch box, very big. I was playing the first Quake on it one evening. I was fighting, I'll never forget, the first boss, which is this huge demon in a lava pit. Okay, there are rockets flying, explosions going, and inexplicably, the screen, like, it didn't explode, but it just went like,
oh no,
it's done. And it just broke. Like, it exploded, basically.
Did, like, smoke come out of it?
Hey?
Did smoke come out of it?
I can't remember. I was very young, but I was like, okay, this game is quite insane.
Literally blew your monitor.
literally blew my monitor. But point of the story is that I went from a 21-inch show, beautiful, small by today's standards, but back then beautiful big monitor, down to a 14-inch.
Oh
monitor.
my god!
And it was so
14
small.
inches, tiny now.
And I was like, I've memories of playing. I don't know if it was just called Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, like the game.
That like
playing
top-down-ish one almost.
Yeah, I remember playing that on 21-inch Glory and going down to 14-inch. Be like, I can't see what is going.
and back then, resolution scaling was bad. Like
it was so bad.
Oh
Holy
God.
shit! Yeah, so I like my big screens. I have PTSD when I have little screens.
There's a resurgence in the popularity of CRTs because like CRTs have like no input lag, like absolutely no input lag, and because they function differently to digital displays, because they're more analog ones, you don't get like screen tearing, you don't get issues with frame pacing. So Eurogamer or Digital Foundry actually runs a nice series of videos where they got like control to run on a CRT and like how incredible it looks, like because the motion is so smooth and all of that. So
that is so funny.
Kind of incredible.
Can you imagine like that becomes a niche thing, like record players, because people do collect vinyls, and it is like this hearing something on a vinyl is a different experience to hearing it via digital, whatever. So imagine it's like, hey, come check my new 27-inch CRT box. We're going to play some Control with RTX turned on. Look at this shit.
I mean, that's essentially what they're doing. They're running it at a lower resolution because the display takes it, so the frame rate is really high. But CRTs were wildly different back then, and the one that they recommend, firstly, is very difficult to get, and it also weighs like 40 kilos.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So it's like
those. Listen, landing today would be a lot easier. Just on that front, okay, boxes are still heavy, cases are still like
monitors.
Heavy.
Oh my god!
But monitors, holy shit, lugging a monitor. I've got memories of lugging my damn monitor around.
You'd get swole lugging that thing around.
You've met Quentin, my friend. We used to land together. Holy shit! I've got memories of carrying my screen to his little Toyota Taz. Oh, was it a Conquest or a Taz? Like a little 1.3 old car. We used to like drive to lands together.
Did you ever go to the Liberty Land at the church here in Benoni? The Portuguese church here.
Was it the Liberty Land? Maybe. I know there was a Joburg Land that happened every month. I don't know if it was called the Liberty Land or was it not Warfare? No. I don't know. I can ask Quentin, but we used to go every now and then.
Because I remember going to one year, I think it was called the Liberty Land, and there's a Portuguese church here. And
it actually might be that.
Yeah,
one.
there's a massive hall that's attached to the church. Yeah, and it's just low. Well, I mean, I went there once, and it was basically just like I played games for 2 hours, and then just like file shared for like 10 hours.
Welcome to every LAN on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean it was actually funny how it's like I used to get a bit frustrated because as much as I loved copying over files, it took long.
Yo.
And I lived for playing multiplayer games. Like I love playing Counter-Strike and Warcraft 3 and all those. But it was like, hey, you want to play? Like, no, man, I'm just grabbing files. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't want to play games. God, why do you want to do that?
On that note, what series do you have for me to pirate?
Exactly.
Like, what's going on?
And there's always that one guy who's just there. There was always like two main people there who had like 12 terabytes of fucking series and movies, and they were basically file peering with everyone at the LAN.
Everyone. Yeah. And it was so slow. Oh my God. So slow.
Yeah. What a time. What a different time.
Yeah, what a time.
It's like one of those things that you try and explain to probably like a teenager now and they just don't understand it. It's like an antiquated thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Is that
That's
it?
episode 105. Damn. Yeah, we've waffled for a long time.
We waffled.
That's it.
But
thanks for all the questions.
We spoiler cast the shit out of Last of Us 2. Hope you enjoyed our discussion. Like to hear your thoughts and opinions on the game. This has been episode 105. We're in July next month. Can you believe it? Games are picking up again. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. It's so cold. I really hate this cold. I want it to be warm again.
Oh God, I am not one for complaining about the cold, but I'm over winter.
Yeah, I haven't been over winter in
so
years.
over
Like I can't remember the last time I like just on a whim was like, man, I really fucking hate this.
I'm
And,
over it.
man, this cold is really not fun. I don't enjoy this. Getting sad just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Please send us warmth over email.
Please send us thoughts and prayers.
Send a big enough email that my computer fan has to spin up and it keeps me warm. I'll be appreciative.
And it's not noisy.
Yeah, it's not. Speaking of noisy, did your PS4 get noisy with The Last of Us 2?
Sure, that thing
Really?
was so loud. But my PS4, I think in general, is just loud. It's old. I've never opened it up to clean the fans, so it just...
Like mine got loud, but not as loud as it did with God of War. And I think I have to imagine that's primarily because the ambient air is just colder.
Maybe, but mine in general just...
And then I've seen some people
cold.
being like, it's not getting loud at all. I think Nick DeBrain on Twitter was like, yo, mine's not getting loud at all. I'm just like, how the fuck?
How?
Yeah.
Maybe his room is just... Maybe he's playing in a fridge.
And he's on, if I'm not mistaken, he's on a regular PS4 as well. So, yeah. That's...
So who knows?
Weird, man. Weird. But, episode 105. Thank you very much for listening, as always. Name's Alessandro.
Yeah,
Matthew's,
thanks, guys.
Matthew's there.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next week.
Cool.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Goodbye.